Welcome to Bollox Talks and Tangents. Man, we got a fun show.
Great show to see.
Unlike what the title says.
Yeah, thanks, Blake.
Blake has a guest in the studio. He's showing how great he is at his job, and he forgot to change the damn title.
Okay. And the title is the most absurd thing I have ever seen. I don't know even what it means.
I don't even know. I read the title. I was like, I'm not watching that shit.
Nah, that's terrible.
You need to watch this. This is Monuments, U.S. Monuments, and the one that's really, really fun.
I love this one so much. It's former tourist sites in St. Augustine that no longer exist.
Attractions that were once here.
Yeah.
And how absurd was some of that research.
I cannot tell you how much fun I had looking up this stuff this week.
I tell you what, I went to the Historic Museum, Historic Society, and I'm a member of the Historic. I go there a lot.
Yeah.
And I go there, and they're like, hey, and they mention one of my friends.
Yeah.
And says, oh, his family was this. So I called him, and I got some great stuff. I got some like inside pictures. I mean, there was a Monkey Island in Davis Shores.
It really close to my house.
It was right near your house. It was a block.
Monkey Island.
It was a golf shot from your house.
Well, not the way I play golf.
No, you would have shanked it.
A Rory McIlroy golf shot.
Yeah, but first thing we got to do, we got to talk about our amazing sponsors because we got some ridiculously great sponsors. I got to have drinks with several of them this week.
Why didn't I get invited to that thing?
It was a political thing, and you can't be trusted.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you just can't be trusted. Yeah. So, first one we got to talk about, and that's City Gates Distillery and St. Augustine Distillery. Local distillery. They give us some great tours. We tried out their peanut
butter whiskey last week.
Whiskey, and every other week we're going to do one of theirs.
Yeah,
we're doing a different brand this week as our
we got our Basil Hayden.
We're doing a Basil Hayden dark rye.
Yeah,
it's different than the other one we did. The other one was kind of it's a smooth. This one's a little harsher.
A little harsher.
It's a little more than your Modelo's.
Okay, I might try a bit.
All right, but they have the most amazing whiskeys in town. They do a great job. Right there at City Gates and at the distillery on Riberia there.
Incredible.
And wonderful people.
The best people to work with. They make great booze.
Oh,
that's what it's all about.
Yeah. And they put their time in. They hone their craft, and they got it right. They're award-winning distillery. The other one is soon to be award-winning. They just opened up, and that's 900 Degree.
900 Degree Pizza.
You're having dinner there tonight.
I'm picking up dinner there this evening. I am stopping by, so if you guys are watching, I'll be in there about 7:45 to pick up dinner for the wife and the kids.
Yeah.
The pizza's incredible. The sauce is amazing. I love this pizza.
We had it last week for dinner here.
Yeah, it's great.
So, all right, Abare, Kresge and Associates, they're my accountants. They keep me out of trouble. That is not an easy task to do. I have several businesses. Some of them are actually successful.
Really?
Some, not this one.
Yeah, okay.
Actually, we're getting there. We're doing okay. We're doing okay. We're getting good feedback. But Abare, Kresge and Associates, they're
geniuses.
If you are starting a new business, if you have some financial troubles, or if you just are tired of doing your own taxes, go see them.
They are the guys.
Yeah.
They are the guys. They are wonderful. They handle people's taxes beautifully. I love those guys.
You talk about this guy right here.
Okay, so Meehan's Irish Pub. All right, so I think Reggie Maggs might be the nicest man in town.
Yeah, he gets out of the shower to pee. He's that nice.
I mean, he's that good.
He's that nice.
Which is rare for an Irish person.
It's super
We're not
rare.
used to it.
Yeah.
The bar's
male
incredible.
or female? Yeah, you said person. Yeah.
The bar's incredible. One of the best, maybe the best pint of Guinness outside of Ireland. They've got 3 incredible bars. Hanging out the back. Hubble serving your drinks is great. The backyard is amazing.
They got live music there tonight.
You can go upstairs, Johnny's Oyster Bar. You can sit outside, the best view in town, overlooking the bay. Overlooking the bayfront, looking at the water, looking at the fort. And then inside, the inside bar. I love drinking inside late night.
Yeah. I'm a belly up to the bar guy.
I am too.
I mean, I'll get the shepherd's pie, belly up to the bar, look around the room, make fun of everybody in the room, and that's the type of Irish bar I like.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
It's perfect.
That's what
Meehan's,
it's about.
Magic.
All right, another bar, and I was there last night. Trivia night was absolutely slammed. I mean, we may or may not have been over capacity, but I'm telling you right now, it's such a fun place. The Beacon Listening Room, they have music all week long. They have me on Wednesday nights for trivia, and sometimes I play music when I'm not telling stupid stories. And Gypsy Cab, they're side by side, same owners, great food at both locations. Gypsy Chicken to me is the best meal in town.
It is a legendary place. I'm going to the Beacon tomorrow night before we go to the Amp for the concert. 5 or 6 of us going in, getting some dinner.
I'm going to Government Mule.
Yeah. That's what I'm doing tomorrow night, but going to the Beacon beforehand.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And last but not least, and my cousin's coming in town. She watched the show about the pirates.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm definitely going to the Pirates Museum. And she's going to go there. They have over 800 artifacts within that museum. It sounds like it's one of those attractions we're going to talk about later.
Yeah.
But this one's going to be here a while.
This one's going to be here because this is legit.
It is real. It's legit. You're going to learn something when you get there.
And a great addition to the town. Yeah. A great addition to the town.
And my cousin Tammy, who's coming into town tomorrow, she's like, oh, I hope Captain Mayhem's there. So we're going to try and get her on a good tour with Captain Mayhem.
Oh, God.
So
that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you. All of our sponsors, thank you. And everybody, go support the local businesses. It's what keeps this town.
Yeah.
It really is.
It really is. All right.
All right. So first of all, I have some good news. The title has been changed.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Producer Blake.
It's only 7-8 minutes into the show.
Don't worry about it.
It's all good.
Don't worry about the teaser. About the title. It matters or anything.
Half the world just turned away.
Yeah,
they looked in there. Oh, that's a stupid fucking show. I'm not watching that. Terrible.
No one's watching that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're happy people understand now it's about monuments and lost attractions.
Yeah.
All right. So we do, at this time, we talk about the bourbon. We already talked a little bit about it. Dark Rye Basil Hayden. A little more kick than the other one we had. I think we had original Basil Hayden about 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So this one's the Dark Rye. So it's got a little more kick to it, a little more bite. All right. This is the time where we do
Word origins.
You came in with 2 Irish ones.
I did, yeah.
That I know you have friends in Ireland.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I know these terms. And you're going to have to say them slow because you said them quick.
I think some people will know the first one.
Okay.
Because it's definitely, it's more of a European one, but I've definitely heard it in America as well. Okay. The expression is, you might as well be hung for a sheep as a lamb. Hung for a sheep as a lamb.
Yeah, I got nothing on it. So you got to tell me what this is. What does it actually mean?
So what it means is,
and what's the origin?
You might as well be punished for a serious crime as a small crime.
Oh, okay.
Right? And it goes all the way back. There's actually... from John Ray's Proverbs, published in 1678 in England, and it's in here. And so what it means is, so back in the day in England, if you were caught stealing a sheep or a lamb, it was capital. It was a capital offense. You could be hanged by the neck until dead.
Yeah, because Ireland, that's someone's girlfriend.
True.
Okay.
Well, yeah, fair enough.
Fair.
Right. So the idea was that it didn't matter the size of the sheep, the age of the sheep, or the value of the sheep. You were going to be hanged no matter what. So you might as well be hanged for a sheep
or a lamb.
As a lamb. Yeah.
So might as well go all in.
Go all in.
Basically saying go all in.
Well, to be fair, like if you kill one person, it's still murder. Yeah, kill 50.
Yeah, kill all the asses.
All right.
Yeah, don't do that.
Get out of it.
Don't do that. That was our attorneys just called. Don't do that. Don't do that. All right. So
what do you got?
All right. So I have a baseball term. It's a baseball term. It's a boxing term.
Okay.
It's for a left-handed person. A left-handed person is called a southpaw.
All right. If you lead with your left. Yeah.
Yeah. It's called a southpaw. And a lot of people think it came from boxing because they talk about boxers being a southpaw.
Yeah.
It actually came from baseball.
All right.
Because baseball stadiums, when they were originally built, you had to take the sun into account because
you couldn't have. There was no night games.
You didn't have night games.
Right.
You didn't have lights. You didn't have electricity when baseball first started. So most of home plates faced west.
Brilliant.
So when you you were throwing left-handed, your hand was to the south.
Yeah.
And the first person who used it was a sports writer out of Chicago in the late 1890s. And he called the pitcher a southpaw. And everybody was like, what do you mean? And it was like, well, look at the field.
Right, he's throwing from the south.
And that's where it kind of sprung, was from that Chicago writer is the one who created a southpaw being a lefty.
That's fantastic.
Because it's used in every term. It's not just used in baseball. It's not just used in boxing. But, you talk about a southpaw pitcher, it's a lefty. And the way the fields were configured and the way the sun was set up, your left hand, if you're a left-handed pitcher standing on the mound,
Yeah.
was facing the left.
I
Or
never
facing south.
knew that baseball fields were configured for that reason, but now when you said it, makes total sense.
Yeah. So-
That's brilliant. Okay, mine is nowhere nearly as good. My second one, but
Well,
it was
you're gonna love my second one.
all right. So my
You say the second one a lot.
I probably
Yeah.
My second one. This is might have been my father's favorite expression of all time. Favorite one that doesn't involve the word fuck. Anyway,
Yeah, because we're not allowed to say fuck on here.
No, we wouldn't want to fucking do that.
I owe for the charity.
So
So
this
Ayla's
is-
Acres is charity I have to pay when I cuss.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
All right. So this one is mutton dressed as lamb.
Okay.
And it comes from when people would have dinner back in the day. We all know that mutton, older sheep, it's a terrible meat.
Yeah, it's not good.
And lamb is great. And people would dress it up to, to
to
make it look
season
like
it,
lamb,
yeah,
to
yeah.
season or make it look like
Did
lamb.
they have Lowry's back then?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
All right.
But what it means now is it's a description of a woman trying to lure men, to deceive men into believing that she is younger than she actually is.
Oh, okay.
An older, more mature woman dressing younger to give the impression that she is young. And it's that mutton dressed as lamb. It is, of course, a derogatory statement and goes back to, in America, it was actually used in 1811. Frances Calvert, who was connected to Lord Calvert
Yeah.
up in Maryland, and she wrote in her diary that somebody had showed up to dinner one evening. And it was mutton dressed as lamb. And she was putting that woman in her place.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. That's an insult.
That is
Mutton
an insult.
dress. I might be using that one. I don't think I'll remember the
Hang for a sheep as a
for a
lamb.
sheep or a lamb. I don't think I'm gonna remember that. But mutton dressed. I
Mutton
might
dressed
use
as
that
lamb.
tonight.
There you go.
So if I go out downtown, I'm gonna do that. Oh, she's mutton dressed for lamb. Because you see them.
You do?
Yeah,
You do?
You see the cougars out there. All right. My last one is a term you use all the time.
Okay.
So I wanted to know where this term came from. All right. And I'm not going to have to pay for this one because I'm going to say it
It's
several
research.
times. It's research. So I'm willing to give, but I'm not. This is part of the research.
Okay.
And it's batshit crazy.
Bat shit crazy. I love that expression.
Do you have any idea where batshit crazy comes from?
No.
Okay.
I thought I did, but no.
Take a guess. I want you to take a guess.
Does it have something to do with the guano? Does the guano, the fumes of the guano
right.
make you insane?
Well, no. It's the other way around.
Fuck.
It's the other way around. It has to do with the bat guana.
Okay.
It does. In the 1300s, insane asylums were very, like everyone went there. You went to an insane asylum and you were isolated there.
Yeah.
But the doctors would feed
No.
the patients bat guana to try and calm them.
Really?
Because it actually kind of has a drunken state to it. And it would kind of calm them down. So they would be batshit crazy.
Wow.
And it comes from the 13th. That term goes back almost 1,000 years. Being batshit crazy.
That is batshit crazy.
Is that not the most... Of the
That's the
terms
most
I looked-
batshit crazy thing
of the
I've ever
terms
heard.
we looked up, that's the one that I've loved the most so far.
Yeah.
I was like, because I say it too. Oh, she's bad.
Who comes up with that idea? Do you know what we'll give that lunatic fella? No, hear me out. Big spoon of that batch.
Cheers. Put that in the drink.
All right. Brilliant. Brilliant.
So, last week we talked about doing monuments.
Yeah.
So we decided to do U.S. monuments. The second half of this show, we're not gonna go over
On the monuments.
because we have so much good stuff on St. Augustine attractions, and some of them are batshit crazy.
Some of them are batshit crazy.
By the way, I have an excused absence on every time I use that term in the show.
That's good.
Okay,
I like that.
I'm gonna get that.
All right. Where do we start with U.S. monuments?
All right, I'm gonna let you go. What monuments do you want to talk about first?
Okay, so let's start with, it might not be the granddaddy of them all, but let's start with the Washington Monument.
Yes. Oh, and see, I actually have more research on that than anything else.
Okay.
Because it was one of those I went down the hole.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get out of it.
Oh, that'll happen.
The
happen.
tangents were everywhere.
So one of the things I love, okay, so everyone knows where it is. It's the largest freestanding obelisk in the world. It's on the National Mall. It's right by the reflecting pool. You've seen it everywhere. It's in Washington, D.C. And obviously it was built to commemorate our first president, George Washington. Now, that's the basic story of it.
It took a couple weeks to build.
It took a couple of weeks to build. They started it in 1848. They ran out of money, I think, 10 years later. And then they picked it up again 25 years later and eventually finished it. I think they finished it in 1889.
Yeah.
So it was 41 years from start to finish. Yeah, because they ran out of cash.
And in 89, it was the tallest building in the world.
Yeah.
Because the Eiffel Tower wasn't finished yet.
Right. So it replaced, so for 5 years, it was the tallest building in the world. Mm-hmm. It took over from the cathedral in Cologne in Germany.
Yeah.
And so for 5 years, the tallest in the world. And then that fucker Gustav Eiffel built his damn tower.
But he also helped with the base of
the Statue of Liberty.
He did. All right. One of the coolest things, and I never understood why this was.
Okay.
Have you been to the Washington Monument? All right. I didn't understand why the rocks or the stones were different colors.
Yeah. So about 2/3 of the way up, there's a different. The stones are.
It's
completely different color.
152 feet is where it changed. It's 1/3, and then the rest of it's the other. And so it's 2/3 is the upper parts.
The upper part, yeah.
But when they went to start building again, they're like, okay, we got to finish this. All right,
right. And after their 25 years
in the construction world, there's delays.
Yeah.
But 70 years. I mean, that's ridiculous. All right, but so the quarry that they originally got the first stones from wasn't available.
Yeah.
So they went back, and then they realized, oh, this is really cheap. So they had to go to a different quarry. They had a stone that looked like the other stone, but it was falling apart.
Okay, yeah, because it's different marble shades. Marble, right? They're working with, yeah.
So if you look at the Washington Monument, 1/3 of the way is one color, and then the rest of it's another color.
Yeah.
All right. So, and I don't know if you remember this. In 2012, I walked to Washington, D.C.
I remember that, yeah.
All right. The first thing I could see in Washington, D.C. was the Washington Monument. Like I was in, is it Alexandria?
You were probably in Alexandria, yeah.
I was in Alexandria. I was coming across the bridge, and I could see it. And I was like, oh. And this is after 39 days of walking 25 miles a day.
Yeah. Try walk from St. Augustine to Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know.
Did you know they had cars?
It's what, 555 feet tall? Like the thing is.
It's 555,
huge.
exactly. It's 555. So I mean, it's ginormous. Like you said, it's the biggest phallic symbol in the world.
It is.
I mean, obelisk in the world. Obelisk in the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that's the Washington Monument, and it's funny how long the idea started even before the construction. It was like I think it started under Andrew Jackson.
I think so. Yeah, I think it was pretty soon. Yeah. I think that's what it was. Yeah, it took them a while to get the money together.
Yeah. And they never did. They still didn't have enough.
No,
they still didn't have enough. All right, the one I want to talk about is Mount Rushmore.
Okay,
all right.
Mount Rushmore.
So Mount Rushmore actually the construction started in 1927.
1927, yeah.
All right.
Black Hills.
Yeah, the Black
South
Hills.
Dakota.
Oh, the Sioux were not happy.
No, the Lakota Sioux were kind of pissed about this.
They were not happy about this entire thing. And the whole reason it was built was to try and create tourism in South Dakota.
That's the only reason.
Yes. Yeah. And you have been. I have not been.
Yeah, I was there probably 2004, 2005. I was at a 40th birthday party in Deadwood, South Dakota.
Okay.
And I got up on the Saturday morning and realized, I was with Julia and we were like, we're about 45 minutes to Mount Rushmore. We're probably never going to be this close again. Yeah. So we went.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible, but I never knew until today or yesterday when I was looking this up that it was just built to attract tourists to South Dakota.
That's the whole reason it was built.
Yeah.
That was the motivation of it and the whole reason it was built. It was not to honor these presidents.
Nope, had nothing to do with
it. It was none of those things. It was for tourism.
For tourism.
All right. So the first one that was finished was Washington.
Yeah.
So Washington was finished in 1934.
Yeah.
All right. So first off, they started with they did all the outlines and they did the egg shapes with dynamite and stuff like that. Thomas Jefferson got a crack.
Yeah.
And they had to move him on the other side.
That's right, yeah, because
Yeah. So they had to move Jefferson. Jefferson was the second one finished.
Yeah.
He finished in 36. All right. Lincoln finished in 38 and Teddy Roosevelt finished in 39.
39.
Yeah, but the sculptor on it continued to work on it until 41 and he
Right.
passed in 41.
Well, Borglum, yeah, the guy who
Borglum.
designed it, Gustav Borglum, died in 41. But they were carved by an Italian immigrant called Luigi Di Bianco.
Oh, I loved him
Yeah.
in Mario Kart.
But yeah, he was an Italian immigrant, and he was in New York, and they were looking for somebody to do this, and he was like, "Yeah, of course, I can do this," and off he went, and he was the guy. Borglum was the designer, the architect, all of those things behind it, but Luigi Di Bianco did most of the actual.
He did the
carving,
whole,
yeah.
carving of it.
And I read that originally they were going to try and do it on other mountain formations called the Needles, and Borglum realized they were never going to hold. And but it was only after they got building it that they decided to sell it as to honor the greatest presidents.
Yeah.
And part of the selling it was that Washington was going to be the birth of America. Jefferson was going to represent the growth of America. Lincoln was going to represent the development of America. And Roosevelt was going to represent the preservation of America.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Kinda
I get
clever.
the preservation.
You do,
part.
yeah.
Lincoln basically saved America. So I mean, but
Yeah. But that was the kind of the advertising
there
campaign
was
to sell
supposed
it.
to be another spot like saved.
Yeah.
When they did it, they like in Borglum's mind, it's like, okay, we don't know which one goes next, and they left another spot. But I've looked at the mountain. I don't know where it's going to go.
I don't know where it is either.
I don't know where it's going to go. I mean, I've looked at it several times. And speaking of other,
Actually, hold on, but before you mention on to another monument, there's apparently a 76 feet deep vault inside Mount Rushmore. Do you guys want to guess like what might be in there? Because I have no idea. Do you think there might be like any like government secrets?
well, I think the guys who were working on it actually were living in those caverns.
That's what I think it was.
They were living in those caverns. I believe.
Or it's all the secrets of Area 51 or whatever it is, yeah.
Yeah, whatever's in Arizona.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, the other ones that I thought of, and Blake and I have been to Stone Mountain, which is even larger.
So I heard somebody describe Stone Mountain as the Confederacy's Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So Stone Mountain, you've got Andrew Jackson. No, Stonewall Jackson.
Stonewall Jackson.
Robert E. Lee.
You have
Jefferson Davis.
Jefferson Davis.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the horseback.
On horseback. Yeah, and I've been
But
there.
they say the horses alone are bigger than the faces at
Rushmore.
At Rushmore.
Yeah.
But it's on such a big rock. It's hard. It doesn't look big, and then until you start going up, and then you're like, holy cow!
Oh, it's incredible.
It's
I've been there a couple of times.
Yeah.
It's absolutely incredible.
And there's people that want to like, and I get it. There are people that want to blow up
Yeah.
Stone Mountain, but I can't get behind that. That's still art. That's like burning a book to me.
Yeah, and I will say this: in the realm of I don't know, sticking it to somebody. So Stone Mountain, it was dedicated on April the 14th, 1965, 100 years to the day of Lincoln's assassination.
Wow.
So
That was
there's certainly a little bit of grudges
and I got in
being held
trouble
there.
for the whole monument move thing because I was like, oh, it's a part of history. We should leave it. We should talk about it, and this be the conversation.
Yeah.
Until I got down there and I saw the hatred,
Yeah, the hate was bad.
and then I flipped.
Yeah.
I immediately went, nope, that thing's got to go.
Yeah.
If people were spitting on our police officers that happen to be black gentlemen and women,
Yeah.
and calling them names still in
2019, 2020.
yeah.
Yeah, you got to go.
it's got it. It's time. It's time for that hatred to go.
Yeah, but
So-
we'll say that the one thing I really don't like about Stone Mountain was the day that we went there. There was supposed to be a laser show on the mountain, but it never happened. So
Yeah,
we
no,
got
the
mad.
laser show did not happen.
and we're all still angry about that.
Yeah. That was the only time we were really there. So we were going to a Braves game though. That was what we were focused on.
So I read today, Mount Rushmore, just go back a second. So it was built just to attract tourists. Now there's absolutely nothing there. Right? If you drive around there, there's nothing there. Mm-hmm. But it attracts about 2.5 million visitors a year to South Dakota. So to put that in perspective, if there was a similar monument in Florida, it would attract almost 40 million people a year.
Easy.
Like, so fair enough.
Well, just so you put it in perspective,
Yeah.
St. Augustine alone draws about 8 million.
Yeah. Imagine.
And we don't even have a mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's incredible.
We got a hell of a fort.
Incredible.
And we got some attractions that disappeared. We're going
We
to talk
do.
about later.
All right, let's do one more. Let's. You want to talk about the Statue of Liberty?
Us do actually too. I want to talk about the Gateway Arch.
Gateway
And I want to
Arch,
talk about
okay.
Statue of Liberty. So let's talk Statue of Liberty first.
All right. So, Statue of Liberty, I think everybody knows where it is. It's obviously in New York Harbor, right? Straddling New York and New Jersey. It's all part of the national park, which is Ellis Island and Liberty Island. It was given to us by France, given to us in 1886 to commemorate the
100
100th,
years. Yeah.
100th anniversary.
Our
of it.
centennial.
Our centennial.
I mean, that's batshit crazy.
Yeah, and that is batshit crazy. The sculptor was Frederick Barthold, and the metal framework was done by none other than our old friend Gustav Eiffel.
Yes.
Okay, so
He was practicing.
he was practicing.
Yeah.
he was practicing for that tower thing he
I
did. in
heard
Paris.
he's got a little tower in Las Vegas.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks good. So what else do you know about that? So I found some interesting things about old Statue of Liberty. So what do you got before I dive into some of my lunacy?
Well,
on that?
I mean, have you ever been to the Statue of Liberty?
I have.
Have you been
couple of
inside? We
times.
have not been inside. Blake and I flew over it in a helicopter.
Yeah.
But we never really landed in Staten Island.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did the bougie trip.
Yeah. So I've been there probably 5 times.
Okay.
I used to take 8th grade kids on field trips all over the country. And I regularly, that was a stop, was Ellis Island. And
You had a rich school.
well,
It's
yeah.
a beautiful
we did,
school.
yeah.
That's a good school to work
Yeah.
at.
It's pretty good back in the day.
Yeah, we can go to New York City.
Yeah.
It's a good school.
And lots of other
All right,
places.
have you ever been? Here's the thing, because you used to be able to go up into her crown.
You used to, yeah.
Were you able to go there before they closed it?
No, the furthest I was ever up was on the plinth, which is still relatively
The plinth.
high.
What is the plinth?
It's the pedestal, but the official name is the plinth.
The plinth. So where her toes are.
Yeah,
Okay, so you
Yeah,
got
been
to
there.
You got to her toes.
yeah.
Okay,
And got yelled at for trying to climb on that.
because you can't climb on the plinth.
You're not supposed to. Rules.
That's batshit crazy.
Rules. It is batshit crazy. But, so, it was declared National Monument in 1924 by Calvin Coolidge. And the whole idea behind it, so,
And we know about Coolidge.
not a talker.
No, well, he wasn't a nice guy.
And not
He
a nice
made he
guy.
made people in the White House like dive into closets. You remember that
Yeah,
story?
he was while he was walking past, yeah.
Yeah, and if he didn't want you to know what he was saying, he would speak Mandarin
Yeah.
to his wife. Yeah,
Mean man.
yeah,
Silent cow.
yeah.
So,
Silent Cal is kind of an ass.
yeah.
Just saying.
So the Statue of Liberty is based on a Roman liberty goddess called Libertas. And you got the torch in the right hand. And then in the left hand, she has this, what they call a tabula ansata, which is a Roman thing, which is this tablet with dovetail handles. And the date on that in Roman numerals is, of course, July the 4th, 1776.
Yes.
And on the bottom of it, you have the poem, the New Colossus, where it talks about, give us your tired, the huddled masses, right?
And
that kind of thing.
that's where Staten, where Ellis Island
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, and the poem was originally written to raise money, and it wasn't put on the Statue of Liberty originally. It was added about 20 years later.
Okay.
It was put there, and the whole idea was it was kind of to refer back to the Colossus of Rhodes, which is one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, sort of deeming this one of the wonders
one
of
of the
the
wonders
new
of the
world.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
It's
like
all
it.
kind of cool, like all put together, yeah. And I didn't realize this because I don't know a hell of a lot about, a lot of US history, but back then, in the New Colossus, it talks about it straddling 2 cities. And back then, Brooklyn was a separate city to New York.
Yeah.
It wasn't incorporated as a borough.
All the boroughs were their own. All the boroughs were their own at that time.
I didn't know that,
Yeah.
and that's why it's
Yeah.
the 2 cities. Because I was reading the poem, and I'm like, I don't understand
You
where
don't
the
get that.
second city is.
Yeah, but there were 2.
Yeah.
The five boroughs were completely independent.
That's Again, bat shit crazy.
Shit crazy. Here's
do
the
that all
thing
the
that
time.
I love is you think of the Statue of Liberty as being so ginormous and stuff like that. The statue itself is shorter than our lighthouse.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
But if you count in the base
Yeah.
and everything
Okay.
else, and what do you call it?
The plinth.
The plinth. If you count in the plinth, it's taller.
All right.
But the statue itself, the true statue itself, is shorter than our lighthouse.
That's great stuff.
So what you're saying is that David Copperfield needs to make our lighthouse disappear?
Yes, he does.
He should.
Yes, he
needs
does.
to, I mean, he needs to stop being so selfish and only placating to New Yorkers.
That's right. I agree. Mr. Copperfield,
Yeah.
challenge.
Step up your game. Step up your game. You can make our stuff disappear.
All right,
But bring it back.
Tell me
All right.
about
the arch.
The arch.
So the arch, actually, it's 630 feet tall. It's tall.
It is tall.
All right, it's really tall. Here's the thing I remember about my visit to the arch. Have you ever been to the arch?
I have never been to the arch.
Okay, so the visit to the arch, it has one of the coolest elevators in it of all time.
Okay.
Because it
Yeah,
goes
how do you
up,
get up?
It goes up the arch, but it's on like a swinging pendulum type thing as it's going up. So they had to create an entire elevator system that works just to get to the observation area of the arch. And the arch was built for Jefferson and his vision of opening up the West.
Right, yeah, to celebrate. It was the gateway to the West. Yeah, to celebrate the idea of westward expansion in America. Yeah.
Yeah, but I
Lovely.
mean, and it was. I mean, it's a ridiculously cool architectural feat.
Yeah.
Of how they brought it all together and stuff like that. But I thought the arch, like growing up, I thought the arch was always there. The arch was finished only 2 years before I was born.
It was finished in 1965.
65.
Yeah.
I was born in 67.
Wow. Yeah, it's really
But
not
I
that
mean,
long ago at all.
in my mind,
Yeah.
it was always there. Because I mean, I was born in 67, so it always was there in my world. But I mean, it does. It's in monument worlds.
That's recent.
It's pretty recent.
So I came across a couple of fantastic tidbits of information about the arch.
Okay.
So I'll start with something very simple. It's 630 feet tall.
Yes.
It's 630 feet wide.
Yeah.
Which is amazing to me.
Yeah.
How many presidents have been at the top of the arch?
How many presidents have been?
How
at
many
the top
presidents have been to the observation deck at the arch?
Well, I mean, I'll go through. I mean, it starts with Johnson. So these are the possibilities.
Okay.
These are the possibilities. Let's see how I do. Tell me if I miss any. So we got Johnson and then Nixon.
You're wrong. Straight away.
Okay, I'm already wrong.
There's only been one U.S. president ever on the observation deck at the arch.
Well, I was just going to count through, and then I was
Right.
going to do a reduction of it. But you,
So this, because it's such a confined
who's the
space,
only one who's been there?
It's Eisenhower. Eisenhower's the only one.
He was beyond. He was
and
beyond his
he was
time.
beyond his time.
Yeah.
Because he was the guy that originally, when he was in office, they started.
He created the funding.
Right, for
Like
it.
the vision of
Yeah.
it started in the 30s.
Yeah, and he created the funding in the 50s.
Yeah, so he created the funding because the vision of it actually started, I think, in 35. I think it would have been under FDR.
Yeah.
But it was another one that was a tourist kind of grab.
Yeah.
But I like Ike.
I like Ike too.
Ike's one of my favorite presidents of all time.
Great president.
Yeah.
So he was, I think,
He's
70.
the only one that's been to the top.
Yeah, because the Secret Service determined that it was an impossible place. It was there's only one way in, one way out. It's too confined to space. It's terribly dangerous.
Well, to get in there, I mean, I'm telling you, you get in these pods, and there's 4 people getting each pod. And then there's like 6 pods.
Yeah.
So there's, 24 people can go up at one time.
Yeah.
All right. And then it goes, and it takes a while to get up there. It takes there's no air conditioning in that thing.
Holy mother of God.
Yeah. And I was there in July.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. So it was a beautiful, balmy 45 minute ride.
Damn.
All right.
Yeah, but definitely will say that the confined space on top of the arch is still much safer than going to suburban St. Louis.
Yeah. Oh, that is 100%
Oh.
true. That is 100%.
Oh, but you guys are Cincinnati Reds fans, so
No.
you're digging at the St.
No.
Louis there.
Blake's never even been to St. Louis, but he knows where my feeling is.
Yeah.
I've been all over the world.
Yeah.
I've been in some really shady places. and I'm a guy who likes to drink in really shady places. The only time I really felt I was going to die walking down the street is in the city of St. Louis.
Wow.
And I'm not a guy who walks like I'm a victim.
Yeah.
I'm a guy who walks like you're about to get in a fight.
Now, just disclaimer, Troy does not work for the State of Missouri Tourist Board or the St. Louis City Tourist Development Council.
I'm only on the St. Johns County Tourist Development Council. Screw you.
So
St.
there
Louis.
you go.
Screw you, St. Louis.
So can I tell you one last stupid thing about the arch? So the insurers did not think that it was going to be, that it was going to be safe. Mm-hmm. And they calculated that at least 14 people would die in the construction of the arch. Mm-hmm. Nobody died. Mm-hmm. To this day, only one person has ever died involved in the arch. And this is a guy in the 1980s who parachuted out of a plane for a bet to see if he could land on the arch.
On top of the arch.
He did it, and then he base jumped off the arch as his grand finale, and the base jump parachute did not open, and he died.
Yeah. Sorry, Pancake. Sorry, Pancake. Cheers to Pancake.
Cheers to Pancake. Yeah.
What did I say last week? If you're going to be dumb, you got to be tough.
You got to be tough.
Pancake wasn't tough enough.
Pancake wasn't tough enough.
Yeah. All right. So we got to talk. It's halfway through the show. I told you we were going to move on immediately, but we got to talk about our amazing sponsors again. City Gates Distillery and St. Augustine Distillery. Love your product. They do amazing tours. They're always creating, and that's what I love about them.
Yeah, and they make great stuff. Their gin is great. I'm not joking. The peanut butter whiskey was one of the best things I've ever drank in my life.
It was so good.
And it is right downtown. Or you can go over to the distillery right by the ice plant. Look at the job these guys have done is outstanding. It's such a great boon and benefit to this town.
Yeah. I mean, I've been in St. Augustine a long time. I love Philip. I love Mike. These guys do just a great job. Will over there, who's running the show and pulling all the strings over there. Just keep up the good work.
Yeah.
Making us proud. All right. 900 Degree Pizza and Pasta. Your stop tonight for pizza.
My stop tonight?
Their sauce is second to none in town. They're located off of Lewis Speedway. Yeah. Go check them out. They're right next to Vibe Energy.
They are, and they're right by the St. Augustine High School. If you're at the high school, go to 900 Degree Pizza and Pasta. The pasta is incredible. The staff is amazing. Yeah. And that's where I'm having dinner tonight.
Yeah, that's where you're stopping in. Tell everybody over there we said hello. All right, Abare, Kresge and Associates. These are my accountants. Okay, if anybody out there who knows my lifestyle and what I do for a living, it's not easy to be my accountant. I'm probably I don't know of anybody else who has a more difficult tax return than myself.
Yeah, we make a joke all the time about this.
It's not a lot of numbers, but it comes from a lot of different directions.
There's not a lot of zeros on the end of anything.
No, it's not a lot of numbers.
But Abare, Kresge and Associates, keep this man out of jail. They are amazing accountants.
I'm able to keep food on the plates, and that's all that Blake cares about right there.
There you go.
So, all right, the Beacon Listening Room and Gypsy Cab. Side by side on Anastasia Boulevard, the Beacon Listening Room, probably one of the best live. I would say it is the best live music on the island.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, they do an amazing job there. Wednesday night trivia. If you want to go there, you gotta reserve your table.
Got to reserve a table because it'll be packed.
Yeah,
absolutely jammed on a Wednesday night.
You got to reserve a table. I'm going to tell you the same freaking jokes I've told for 20 years. You're still going to laugh. You're still going to buy me drinks, and you're going to feel good about it.
And I want to give a shout out to Frank because my kid and Frank's kid play in the same soccer team. So I've got a special place in my heart. Obviously for Gypsies, one of the first places I ever ate in St. Augustine. The Gypsy chicken is incredible. But Frank, thank you very, very much indeed. You're a gent and the business is amazing.
Salad dressing.
Salad dressing is gorgeous. So good.
Salad dressing at Gypsy cannot be beat. Meehan's Irish Pub. 3 bars in one. You can do a pub crawl within the same pub.
I've done it.
Yeah. I have too. I've acted like, okay, this person's boring me. I'm going to Johnny's. Yeah. All right. Oh, I'm bored at Johnny's. I'm going downstairs.
I have paid one tab in Meehan's, gone back the next night, and had to pay for 2 other tabs that I had at the 2 different bars.
Yeah.
They're wonderful people. The bar's incredible. The location's incredible. Food's great. Staff's great. Beer's great. What else is there?
Best bartenders in town. So I am missing Kaiser. I'm going to give a shout out to Kaiser.
I understand that, yeah.
I am going to give a shout out. Kaiser was my bartender for a long time at Meehan's. He's got his own deli now next to
the Beacon. And it is incredible.
Check it out.
And a nicer man you won't meet.
Oh, no. Wonderful. Even though he's from Maine. At least he's not from St. Louis.
That's right.
St. Augustine Pirate Museum. Cindy Staveley and those guys over there do an incredible job. Pat Croce, who came up with the vision, came to St. Augustine.
Vision is the right
He
word.
moved it from Key West, brought it up here. Over 800 artifacts of authentic pirate memorabilia.
It's real. It's history. It's beautifully designed. It's beautifully curated. I could not recommend a place more than the Pirate Museum.
Yeah. So, and I just got the comments. Your pizza's been called in. So you're good.
Beautiful.
So you're set.
Thanks, guys.
You're set on that. All right.
Let's talk about tourist attractions in St. Augustine that no longer exist.
All right. So there are some really big ones out there that I mean, and I'm going to start with Marineland.
Please start with
Because
Marineland.
Marineland's still kind of open.
It is open. I was there at the end of the summer.
They do
with
the dolphin.
kids.
They do the dolphin experience.
We did the dolphin experience. I got to be towed around with the dolphin. So did my boys.
That's and that's so much fun.
Yeah.
If you haven't done that and you lived in Florida, we actually did it in Blake. Where were we at? We were in Key Largo.
Yeah, we were in Key Largo.
We were in Key Largo, and the dolphins jumped over us, and it was. I mean, and and a lot of you know that Ty, or Blake's younger brother, my youngest son, is autistic.
Yeah.
So, like, when he started, I'm literally treading water, holding Ty, who's a full-grown man.
Yeah.
All right. And eventually, by the time he kind of got it, like, okay, these dolphins are cool.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful experience for the entire family. It was
So
really,
cool.
really cool. So, but they do that down at Marineland. But Blake, can you pull up a picture that I brought? So, like I told you, I called one of my friends.
Yeah.
Who, I was like, he's been here a long time. Don Critchlow, former city commissioner.
Good dude.
Amazing
Good
dude.
dude.
Excellent architect. All right. But he says, I used to work at Marineland. I was like, come on, you used to work at Marineland. He shot me a picture from 1968. All right, that's when Marineland, the picture he first showed up there. I can't tell if you put it up yet, Blake. Let me know when you got the one of Don holding the dolphin.
Oh, got it.
All right, so that is Don in the front there, holding it in 1968. I was one.
That's amazing.
Don is still an active architect. He's done some beautiful buildings here in town, left his imprint. He's a city commissioner. But I got to give a shout out for Don sending me that picture.
Mad cool.
Oh, and he said at one point during that time, they were putting through about 10,000 people a day. This is before there was Disney. So
10,000 a day.
Marineland was like the original.
It was the first.
It was the original theme park. It opened in 37, 38.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. When it opened, it was expensive. It was $1.
Wow.
Yeah. It was $1.
Yeah.
So and it opened as Marine Studios.
It's Marine Studios. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Oh, so many movies have been filmed there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Flipper.
Sea Hunt, the popular TV show from the 50s,
it was filmed there. Yeah.
So, yeah.
10,000 a day.
Yeah.
Gee.
And it still has the record for having the longest. And PETA, you can go pound sand on this one. All right. It has the record for the longest living dolphin.
Yeah.
Her name was Nellie, and she lived almost 62 years at Marineland.
That is incredible. Yeah. And hey, if you haven't been to Marineland, again, I run into people who've lived here for 5 or 6 years. They've never been to Marineland. I'm like, get your arse down to Marineland for the love of God.
I started in Parks and Rec, so I started in the beautiful city of DeLand.
Yeah.
Quite a metropolis there. But we would bring people up and bring our summer camp up. And there used to be a theater there, and there used to be so many more things to do. I'm a little sad of how small it shrunk to. The Dolphins Stadium was actually built in 1952, when they actually did shows. And that's the place where the very first dolphin training and show existed.
All the stuff that, so many things we know about dolphins and all that. Started there.
SeaWorld learned from Marineland. Yeah. There would be no SeaWorld if it wasn't for Marineland. So that's my Marineland tribute.
So can I take?
And you know what? You know why I was there?
Why?
Because the city of St. Augustine didn't want it.
That's incredible.
They wanted to build it in the city of St. Augustine in St. Johns County, and they had to go just outside.
Just outside, because it is just across the border of Flagler. Yeah.
And it's its own city. There's like 17 people that live in Marineland, the city itself.
So can I lower the tone completely?
Yes, please
So
do.
I want to tell you about my personal favorite, because I was at this place several times when I first came to St. Augustine in the early 90s.
Okay.
This was the Tragedy in U.S. History
It
Museum.
was a tragic museum.
It was on 7 William Street, so the road that leads you down to the Fountain of Youth. It's
So
now
horrible.
the St. Augustine Public Montessori School. That's what it is now. Which also
And that's such
is
an
mental.
improvement. That's such an improvement.
Right? This was owned by, and I came across this description today. It was owned by a fellow called H. Buddy Huff, who owned a couple of other places we're going
He
to talk
owned a
about.
couple other places we're going to talk about.
But he was described as a man with a vision and a complete lack of taste. And he opened up this museum in 1965, and it's dedicated to all the tragedies that have ever happened in America.
It was still open when I got here in 87, by the way.
It didn't close until 1998. It was still open in 98. Wow. Yeah. And the day he opened it, the police showed up and shut him down. And he fought the city fathers of St. Augustine for 20 years. He fought the Chamber of Commerce for 20 years because...
It was so horrible.
And I want everyone to hear this, because we're going to talk about some other places here. The city fathers thought this place was too gauche, too anti-tourist to exist.
It was so horrible.
Do you know he won his case at the Florida Supreme Court in the early 1980s to keep the place open, right? If you remember this, please hit us up in the comments. They had the Jane Mansfield death car, except they didn't. They had they had a car that John F. Kennedy might have ridden in once. They had the Bonnie and Clyde car, except
It wasn't.
It was
the
a
one
prop
it
from the
wasn't-
movies.
It was from the movies. It wasn't the one that got shot up.
Right? They had Lee Harvey Oswald's bedroom furniture. Right?
Yeah, I'm sure that was
Sure they
real.
did. They had the ambulance, supposedly, that Oswald rode in after he was shot by Jack Ruby. It was the kitschiest, shittiest,
It was
Craziest.
horrible. It was so horrible.
I cannot begin to tell you how many times
A lot of things
I
on
went
my
there.
list. A lot of things
Oh.
on my list. I was like, wow, I wish that was still here.
Yeah.
The one on my list that I was like, I'm so glad it's gone.
Is this one?
Is that museum? It was so horrible. Like I came to Flagler and I was like, oh wow, JFK's car. I go there. It's not even a freaking convertible. All right.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, he may have rode in this car. Well, I may have like farted yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, what the, are we going to film and bottle
Do you,
that?
do you know why he opened the museum? And he told this
For
story
money, I'm
himself.
sure.
He was inspired by Kennedy's assassination because he claimed that people love tragedy and they will love my museum.
All right. That's almost because that's got my head so hot. I might go topless the rest of the show.
Yeah. So if that museum was still open today, they would probably have like more like 90s and like early 2000 stuff. So what items do you think like he would have put in today?
They would have had Michael Jackson's glove.
They would have had,
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, they would have had Elvis's scarf. I mean, you know, they would have
You don't even- yeah.
so many hokey,
All kinds of stuff.
so many hokey things. It was so horrible.
Tell me about the other place he owned.
The other place he owned a place out on State Road 16, and you can still see the wall.
Yeah, if you're heading out to the interstate, it's on the right-hand side going out State Road
You
16.
can still see the wall. And he owned an exotic kind of farm where it had like tigers and it had different stuff. And this was open until like the late
The late 80s, 70s, yeah.
late 70s, early 80s. It wasn't here when I was here. It was already closed at that point. All right. And it was a couple of different things. It became like the Spanish, old Spanish jail and stuff like that.
Right,
But
completely fake.
and I think he had 3 different things there that all of them
Yeah.
failed. But he had an exotic zoo
He did.
with like monkeys and different things. But he forgot to feed the animals.
He was not fond of feeding them.
Federal government came in and said, you got to close down. And then they spread the animals and put them in a better situation.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, so that's where you can still see the wall where, like, there's still, like, a cannon hanging from one of the walls.
Yeah, like it still
before you get
has
to
a
95.
look like an old Spanish
You look at it and
fort
you
off
go,
on the
okay,
right.
that looks like something that was
Yeah.
something. Yeah, and that's...
So you said, before we went on air, you said that Buddy Huff's place out on 16 made him St. Augustine's, the original what?
Huh? It was...
You said he was the original Tiger King.
He was the original Tiger King. He was 100% the Tiger King. So...
What a guy!
He was the original one. So he was St. Augustine's original one. All right. So we got some really, really great. I have like 6 written down here.
Please, because
All right.
your stuff is incredible.
All right. So and all I did was I went to, what I do, and you guys, I know you find this shocking because we only have 10 minutes left. I go to the Historic Society, start there, and then there's some great stuff that comes out of it. All right. So there was a gator farm called Casper's Gator Farm. It was on US 1 where near Schooners was, maybe in that area
The
there.
US 1 North, same side of the road, Schooners, just a little north of there.
All right. And they had alligators, and they had a big stuffed gator there, like I don't know what it was made of. It was like paper mache type thing. But that gator when it got sold, it went to Jacksonville. It's still in Jacksonville somewhere. That big gator. So
If anybody knows where that is, we want to know.
yeah,
We want to know where that damn
someone
thing
actually
is.
told me the location, and I didn't write it down. I should have written it down because I was like going through and I was just picking this person's brain. But the Casper's Gator Museum had a bear, and it had a gorilla, and it had like gators everywhere. When Casper's closed, the coolest story I heard today
Yeah.
was Casper's was the first drive-in theater we had here in St. Augustine.
Okay.
There was another one, the apartment complex just south of Schooners. There was
Yes.
another one there. This one was separate. They weren't even called drive-in theaters. It was the 6th drive-in theater in the entire world. Like it was.
And it's a little north of.
It was silent movies, and they called it a movie parking lot. Wow. They didn't even call them drive-in theaters yet. So it was the 6th one in the entire country was at Casper's Gator Farm. So I found that just to
phenomenal.
be absolutely amazing. All right, so the other one, my friend Don Critchlow, someone talked about a place on Anastasia Boulevard. We talked about it earlier in the show called Monkey Island.
Right.
All right, Blake, I know the picture is very blurry. All right, but it was called the Florida Natural Wildlife Museum. All right, when I was talking to Don,
So on Anastasia Boulevard, it's where that Art Deco hotel is. It's at the
it's
corner
actually
of
across the street.
across the street from there.
It's at Arundado and
Arredondo and Anastasia Boulevard.
So it's across the street. It's on the north side of Anastasia Boulevard. All right. So I heard rumors about Monkey Island.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I got to find out where Monkey Island was. I got to find out where Monkey Island was. So I'm at the Historic Society, and they say, I think Don's family had something to do with it. I'm good friends with Don. I called Don immediately. He said, yeah, that was my grandfather's place. All right. And it was called, and he was a taxidermy along with several things. It was a Renaissance guy. His grandfather sounds like an amazing guy I want to hang out with. I love Don, so I always want to hang out with him, but his grandfather sounds like a really amazing dude. But it was called the Florida Natural Wildlife Museum. All right. And it not only had all different exotic animals and taxidermies.
Yeah.
But he created this Monkey Island where it was like a pile of rocks with like a moat around it. And then they'd throw the food over to the monkeys, and the monkeys never got out. I was like, how the monkeys never get out? They're like, they don't swim. I was like, okay, well, that makes sense. But it was also an alligator farm. And it was an ostrich farm. So you would go there, the tourists would go there.
What time period are we talking?
We're talking early 1900s to about 1940s.
Fantastic.
All right. There was a little bit of a rift between him and the Drisdale family, who currently still owns the alligator farm. So evidently the grandfathers of these two gentlemen who get along great didn't really get along. So there was a guy over at Silver Springs. His last name was Ross. He's like the biggest alligator guy of all times. I can't. I think it's Bob Ross. I can't think of what his first name is.
Should be Bob
But
Ross.
we're gonna go with that. But his last name, I'm sure in the comments someone's gonna correct me. But he was like known for his alligator stories and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So the story goes, this is the story I got. The story goes, Drisdale went to Ross and said, hey, can you see if he'll give you the alligators? Because he's closing down shop.
Yeah.
He's closing down
But
shop.
he won't give them to me.
He won't give them to Drisdale, who's right down the road because they've been in competition for so long. All right. So he gave them to Ross, and then Ross
Gave them to Drisdale.
So here's the beauty of it. Gators live, 60 to 80 years. I mean, some of them, so a baby gator that might have came from this farm might still be alive at our current alligator farm.
I'm going to look into that because I'm actually going to the concert tomorrow night with the curator of the alligator farm.
There you
Jen
go. Ask
Anderson,
that question.
And I'm going to ask Jen tomorrow night.
Ask them what the oldest gator they have there.
It's Jen Anderson, and I'll ask her, and
All right.
she's a stone cold badass, and I'll ask her.
No, because I want to know. I want to know because the time frame of the closure of it and the alligator, it would be really close
That would be close.
if there was still one alive.
So I want to. Time is going to go against us.
We got 5 minutes
and
left.
I want to revisit these next week. I don't want to rush through these because these are amazing.
Yeah.
Can I turn us to a more serious one just for a second? The Cross and Sword at the amphitheater. So the amp right now.
Yeah.
Which you might have had something to do with.
I heard about that place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the amphitheater.
It might have killed me. So
The amphitheater was
Twice.
built for the 400th anniversary
Yeah.
of St. Augustine for 1965.
Yep.
And we designed the state play. We designed a fellow called Paul Green, who was a Pulitzer Prize winning playwright, designed the state play called The Cross and Sword, which ran from 1965 at the amphitheater, was designated the Florida State Play in 1973, and it ran all the way to 1996.
Yes. Off to Florida.
And
He also wrote the state play for Georgia.
And he did it in
Georgia.
He did the Lost Colony up in Virginia and wrote up
He did.
Virginia
He
too,
wrote it
right?
for them too.
Right.
And so much. He wrote one play for
Everywhere.
3 different states.
So I don't know if you guys don't know this. The story is they used to run 60 shows a summer. In the 60s and 70s, 6 shows a week
It was still
for 10 weeks.
Still going on when I was here.
They were putting 50,000 people.
Yeah.
50,000 people was what was showing up. It was, the amphitheater was built for it, so the JCs and the St. Augustine Rotarians got together and put it all in, right?
The Rotarians.
Land was donated. Drisdale was involved in helping
Yep.
us get the land for it. The seats at the original amphitheater, do you know where they came from?
Yes, I do.
Where did they come
They came from the Polo Grounds.
They came from the Polo Grounds in New York.
Here-
The baseball stadium. They had the NY on the side of them. They were the coolest things of all time.
Here, I'm going to bring a story, full story.
Go on.
All right. So I was the person who kind of was Parks and Rec. I was in charge of the amphitheater when it reopened.
Yeah.
In 2007. All right. At some point during construction, we had 3 seats that were supposed to be saved, and I don't know what happened to them. And someone called me after I retired, like 5 years after I retired, and said, "Hey, do you have the seats from the Polo Grounds?" No, I don't have the seats from the Polo Grounds. That would be stealing. And they basically accused me of like possibly.
So one of my
but
regrets-
I do have the original seats from the renovation that I pulled out of a dumpster. I'm not gonna lie. I have 3 seats sitting. Blake,
So I
they're
know
sitting on our porch, aren't they?
Yeah.
I know somebody who has 4 seats from
Because they were auctioned off for part of the rebuild.
They were auctioned off,
Yeah.
but I know somebody. And one of my regrets is that I didn't fucking go in there and steal some of the seats.
Yeah.
Because I should have.
They were auctioned off for the rebuild. It was a fundraiser in the 2000s.
This was one of the biggest shows. It took you from Avalays to the court of King Philip II. They did the whole Matanzas River slaughter of the Huguenots.
If they didn't fall through the
They
stage.
didn't fall through the stage. They did the Jean Ribaud thing. Tom Rayner, and I want to talk about this again. Tom Rayner, one of the great St. Augustine people here, him and his wife Jean were both in it. Tom directed it for a long time. He was the general manager.
There's so many people that
I'm
have
telling you, part of this.
grown up in St. Augustine that have been a part of Cross and Sword. I was never a part of Cross and Sword, but it was
At its height, I think there was one year that 55,000 people. And the last year when the state gave up funding, it did 9,000 people
Yeah.
over the 10 weeks. And the
there
play
was-
is terrible.
There were 60 million mosquitoes every night.
There was, yeah.
Yeah.
And the Native Americans were all scantily clad
Yeah.
and romping around the place. You should, if you can find...
And some of them were more pale than me and you. Just so we're clear.
If you can find some of the posters from back then,
was-
incredible.
It was horrible. We only have a minute left.
Okay.
And we got to say thank you to everybody out there. We only have a minute left, but I want people to go out there and look up the St. Augustine Opera House.
Oh, please do. Yes.
All right, go look up the St. Augustine Opera House. We had a full opera house on St. George Street. It's pretty much located right where Prohibition Kitchen is, Roosevelt Room, and stuff like that. It burnt down in the fire of 1915, which burnt almost that
Almost
entire
the entire
block.
town, yeah.
Yeah, it burnt like 6 blocks. But Frederick Douglass spoke at this opera house, and it was a regular thing in tourist season
Yeah.
for having major operas, major talented people at the time, and it was absolutely ridiculous. I only have one more before we got to go because we're a little over.
Let's revisit this next
Yeah,
week. Let's revisit this.
We got to talk about this right in front of the gazebo. You know that little circle where they have planters and stuff like
Yeah.
that. That was a fountain, but in that fountain lived an alligator for 40 years.
I know this. Yeah. Let's come back to this because this local stuff is incredible.
But yeah, look up the Opera House of St. Augustine. You're going to be freaking amazed. Like, that's right there.
Yeah.
And it burnt down in 1915. And, so that was the attraction that I think hurt me the most that I would have loved to have seen. Because I can't
right.
find pictures of inside the Opera House yet.
Okay, so if anyone has them, we're going
Send-
to talk about this
send them
next
to-
week.
All right, guess what? That's the end of the show. Man, that hour went so freaking quick. Fast. All right, thank you to all our sponsors again. We appreciate
Thank
you guys
you,
so
guys.
much. Thank you to our watchers. Hit that button up there where the
and
bell's
tell
at.
everybody, look at us on YouTube. We're
Yeah.
damn good looking on YouTube.
Yeah, we're way better looking on
We're
YouTube.
way better looking on the radio.
Yeah, but hit the share button. Make sure you're putting it out there. If you enjoyed the show, we appreciate you guys. Hit the share button. Get us out there. This is Bollox Talks
Talking
and Tangents.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.